This is a case of topical phacoemulsification in a patient with mature cataract who is totally uncooperative during the surgical procedure. The patient keeps on moving his eye upwards and temporally during the surgical procedure. It was very difficult to do the surgery because of the constant movement of the eye. This is I have injected the methyl in the entry chamber. After the removal of the methyl, we had to hold the eye with the lens forceps to control the movement of the eye. I was holding the eye at 6 o'clock position as I am showing, just to recenter the eye towards the microscope so that I can do a capsular axis. The capsular axis done was small, around 6.5 mm. I could not enlarge it because of the fear of extending towards the periphery. The patient during the whole surgical procedure has got a tendency to move his eye upwards and temporally. Patients with mature cataract usually have very big problem in focusing towards the light since they cannot see the light properly. We make the side port incision. After that I make the main incision, again by holding the eye. The main incision in such a case is a bit difficult because if the patient moves his eye upwards, we might end up with premature entry and then we might have to suture the wound. The patient is reluctant during the whole surgical procedure to move his eye upwards and temporally. He cannot control his eye in spite of my best verbal commands to the patient. Then we insert, I do the hydrodissection and rotate the nucleus. Then I go for phacoemulsification. Inserting the tip into the eye becomes very difficult since the patient is again in the constant process of movement. Then I start the phacoemulsification procedure of the eye. At least when the tip goes inside the eye, it's very difficult for the patient to decenter the eye. This step becomes relatively easier because we could stabilize the eye with the tip of the handpiece. These are the last few pieces which got stuck in the side port. After that I move on for cortical aspiration. The cortical aspiration becomes a bit difficult in such patients because of his tendency to move the eye. We might end up holding the posterior capsule and causing the PCR rent. Because we have to control the movement of the eye at the same time while doing the irrigation aspiration with the cannulas only. I am trying to remove the cortical matter, but the patient is at its best trying to move the eye upwards and temporally. Then I remove the cortical matter from the other side. This is a small piece of nucleus, probably it was stuck below the tip of the handpiece while I was doing phaco. Cleaning of cortical matter in such cases, in patients which are uncooperative, takes some time. The patient could see the light, but still he is very reluctant not to focus his eye towards the light and again keeps on moving his eye. I have to give some time to the irrigation aspiration process. Now it's almost clear from one side. Again I'll have to go to the other side to clean few pieces of cortical fibers. Now it's almost clear. Then we inject the methylcellulose to inflate the interchamber and we insert the IUL. Even during the insertion of IUL, the patient keeps on moving the eye and does not focus towards the microscope. We dial the lens. Then I go for the removal of the methylcellulose. I'll go behind the lens to take out the methylcellulose. But since the patient moves his eye temporarily, the lens gets tilted towards the nasal side. Still some amount of methyl is left. We have to clear all the methyl. After the methyl is cleared, the lens is almost tilted towards the nasal side. Then I'll try to tap the lens with the hydrodissection cannula to center into the eye. Now the lens is well centered. We do the hydration of the wounds. And we end up the surgery uneventfully. Thank you for watching the surgical procedure.